You can't impose integrity.
No.
Integrity is to be held. You
Upheld,
cannot
even supported with the right systems.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the thing. So if you think that using force is the only way to, with mandates and even the language that is being used, like you have to, that is not going to work.
Today I'm speaking with Ashkan Tashvir, technologist, founder, philosopher and author of the new book Sustainabilism. Many of you will know Ashkan as the creator of the Being Profile and the founder of Ingenesis, which works to develop leaders and entrepreneurs around the world. In this conversation, we're going to unpack the thinking behind sustainabilism, why so many human and business systems fail despite the best intentions, and how leaders can design organisations and systems with genuine integrity and long-term viability. As someone who's worked extensively with leaders and leadership teams over the last 20 years, I'm excited to explore how some of these ideas can translate into meaningful action, especially for leaders in the technology and energy sector who are navigating complexity and rapid change. So, Ashkan, you and your team at Ingenesis Ventures have worked with more than 800 startups and business owners. When systems start breaking down, what do you consistently see beneath the surface that most people miss?
Yeah, so one of the biggest one is intention. Like sometimes when we talk about intentions, we may relate to them as like wishes or wants, like what I want, what I like. But when we're talking about intention, is something that you develop it as you go. It needs to be anchored in a deep-rooted meaning, and then that translates into vision, mission, all of those typical things.
I'm hearing commitment.
Yeah. And commitment. So one of the biggest things that we miss is gaining that level of clarity when it comes to the intention that we want to fulfill. But sometimes it's not just the clarity that misses, but it's the ill intention, or as I call it, like in the book, having unhealthy relationship with intention. Because you mentioned like we're not being sustainable sometimes, despite having good intentions, but that's not always the case as well. So yes, sometimes we have these good intentions, developed intentions, anchored in deep-rooted meanings, but we don't have the architecture or infrastructure to actually make that happen. But there are times that there's the bad faith conversation. There's a conversation around ill intentions. Like, for example, if you occupy a role and from the get-go you know that you don't want to play that game. Yeah, so you may, for example, be a politician who wants to hold the office, but from the get-go you knew that like you're there just for the sake of power.
So with a hidden agenda.
Yeah, and it happens everywhere. Like it can be like in a relationship, like when a person enters a relationship wanting to be married, let's say, or be committed, but from the get-go they know that that's not basically what they want to offer. Yeah. So one of the biggest things, like when I looked into various different organizations, was distorted relationship with, or unhealthy relationship, we can put it that way, with intention. Sometimes it's a lack of clarity. Sometimes it's actually deliberate misalignment with that.
So an ill intent.
Yes, like ill intent.
It's a substantial book. Over 1,000 pages. You've worked on this for a very long time.
Yes.
And I've read every word, and it's impressive in its comprehensiveness and its complexity. Coming back, though, I'm someone who likes to believe that people have good intentions. Is that naive?
Yeah,
what did you see in your research?
That's your inauthenticity.
Okay, bring it.
No, by that I mean like not in a bad way, really.
I know.
It's like, sometimes we love to be sentimental. It's the sentimentalism.
Sure.
It's like we want to be overly pessimistic or overly optimistic, But when we're talking about authenticity, is basically what we're talking about. Developing congruent conceptions of various different fragments of reality, whatever is going on. So one that they see things as they are, and that's a really hard thing for us human beings, because we can be biased, and we are biased. And when we see through things. We see things through our existing mental framework, which I call meta content. That's the title of the previous book. So, long story short, when we're talking about authenticity, is to be realistic when it comes to understanding whatever is going on, and that's a good wish to have. Like, I do have that wish too, but at the same time, I would say that's not completely matching reality. So we are dealing with, in many different dimensions of our lives, with the ill intentions. So. Yeah, so that
just seeing it as it is, and then dealing with the reality. Yeah. Look, you've worked with leaders and teams across many industries for many years now, and that whole sustainability conversation is very topical. It's a word that's bandied about often. What's the biggest misconception that people have about sustainability?
Yeah, see, what sparks this
and
whole
why
word.
The name sustainabilism?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the spark was the frustration that I was dealing with, because I'm not an academic. I'm not only like looking into the theories, and I want to expand the body of knowledge or add to the existing literature. Like, at the end of the day, I'm in the field myself. Yes, there's lots of philosophical observation, practical observations going on, but I need to apply this in my own organization, the people that we work with, the organization.
So it has to work, is what
it has to work, exactly. So, what sparks this work is the frustration I was dealing with. Like, we keep talking about sustainability, but we barely know what we're exactly talking about. So it is, this term sustainability has been hijacked more, in the last decade, I would say, more to just refer to environmental, ecological matters, which I'm not saying that are not important. Obviously, there's things that needs to be addressed and everything. But the scope is narrowed so much. Like, when we talk about sustainability in a true sense, that's why I call it authentic sustainability framework or authentic sustainability discourse. Like, it's not just a desirable thing. It's our human responsibility to build things in such a way that they endure. Yeah, it's our responsibility. Whether it's a family or any system that we design, we build, or we participate in. In a democratic setting, for example, like, you vote, and your vote means something. In an economical system, as a consumer, you go and then vote in for the existence and growth of particular brand or business. So therefore, we are playing a role in this. So when we talk about sustainability in a more expansive sense, that not just environment, barely we talk about environment actually in this book, and I was deliberate. I basically talk about any system to be regenerative, basically. And the term comes from, like you said, sustainabilism. So often you see many keep talking about, like, in policymakers, people in governments, the NGOs, activists, in academia, they keep talking about sustainability. But the kind of pattern that we see, at least as far as I understand, is there's a kind of scripted, prescribed, performative.
Yeah, I was going to say, you talk about performative sustainability a lot.
Yeah, because like, it is this great axiomatic idea or responsibility we have. is downgraded to a series of checklists and compliance forms and things like ESGs and and
Isn't there a place though for checklists and compliance, or are you saying
well,
not?
of course, those are important, but so we need to dive deeper. That's the thing. See, so let's put it this way: we want integrity. We want pieces in a system to be placed in their rightful place. We want sustainability. So we want sustained effectiveness and systemic integrity. All of these things that we talk about in the book. And let's assume that you are coming from a good place.
You know I am.
I mean, not you. I mean, like anyone who basically talks about sustainability. Let's assume that it's not a matter of ill intention or their, what sort of agenda they may want to push. You can't impose integrity.
No.
Integrity is to be held.
Upheld, even supported with the right systems.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the thing. So if you think that using force is the only way to, with mandates and even the language that is being used, like you have to, so that is not going to work. We need to be able to go deeper, and that's exactly what we talk about in this book. It's not just about the external systems. We talk about this thing that if you really want sustainable systems, we need to relate to certain key qualities down deep there, which we have it in the USI, because you need to relate to them in a healthy way, because the systems are the reflections of how we are being. So therefore, like the book in big part invites us to look inward, see how we relate to qualities like patience and intention and trust and adaptability and things like that.
Okay, so this work has grown out of the work that you began with the being profile and the being framework. And that's being used, I know, by practitioners, myself included, but practitioners in over 50 countries. And so you're constantly in conversation with that global community. How did the being profile and that work about the integrity of human beings lead and develop to what is now a much more comprehensive framework for sustainability?
Yeah, so far we had over 5,000 people that I have used the being profile, and hundreds of coaches and practitioners in the last couple of years. So I work with lots of practitioners and coaches, like in our coach academy and beyond. So they often come to me with questions about okay, so how we can support this organization, that organization, this person, and that person, and so that gave me a lot of exposure. And so I've started identifying the patterns. And you can clearly see the patterns of dysfunction, the patterns of functionality or sustaining effectiveness, as I call it now in this book. So when we start working on the being framework, and the main concern was what are the most fundamental qualities that if we have healthy relationship with, they can actually support us perform and be effective. Now, qualities like commitment, how do you relate to commitment, authenticity itself, like courage and assertiveness and proactivity and resourcefulness, things like that. There, the focus is more on integrity of being, of individuals and collectives, and the result or the outcome, better to say, is effectiveness. And yes, you can be effective. You can you can increase the probability of fulfillment of your intentions, the intentions you care about. But there's certain things missing there. One is, are we just there to measure or gauge the effectiveness as these momentums? Or no, we actually want sustained effectiveness. That's basically why, in the being framework, which we talk about integrity and effectiveness, but then in the sustainability discourse here, we zoom out and we talk about systemic integrity, so basically all the bits and pieces of any system, not only human being or the internal side to us, are being put in their rightful place, so that, and not only we care about effectiveness, but we care actually about sustained effectiveness. So we bring that longevity, we bring that endurance into the, because see, for example, you may have a team in your organization, like sales team, software development team, and you may push them, you may put, like you create processes, you mandate things, like whatever basically you want to do.
It's my checklist.
Yeah, so basically you can get them to deliver certain project, and they're effective. But is it sustainable? Like, is it leading to burnout? Like, are they satisfied to work with each other again?
Is it tapping into their intrinsic motivation?
Exactly. And this is not like just come from like empathy or just caring about people. Obviously that's important, but I'm not even coming from that. I'm saying that if you really want to leverage your team, you can't burn them out. You cannot have them working in a kind of to the point of exhaustion. Does that make sense? So therefore, in order for us to actually be able to build these sustainable systems, we need to create a sustainable culture. And for that, we need every single individual, starting from the leadership positions, to actually relate to some of the qualities we talk about here in this book in a different way.
So you've created a whole new model, the unified ontology of systemic integrity. Yeah. It's a mouthful, but it has key parts that are interesting, and one of the parts is the spheres, one of which relates to disintegration and then also modulation. When systems are breaking down, when people, and we've seen around the world, people are being pushed or pushing themselves to work to exhaustion and burnout. It's a very common word these days. What are the first signs that something's disintegrating or that integrity is breaking down in a system?
So let me create a picture for the people that are listening to us. So yes, it's mouthful, like that's a kind of the more technical term that we use for it, UOSI, Unified Ontology of Systemic Integrity. But simply put, basically what it refers to is these 4 different spheres. Yeah. The 4 different spheres. One is the architectonic sphere, which is the architecture or the overarching architecture of the whole model. And then we have the integrity sphere. Simply is like integrity is talking about the 4 key qualities that they hold the system together. Yeah.
And being is part of that, right?
Yes.
And the being profile,
being is part of that.
Yeah.
Intention is part of that. Intention, trust, sovereignty. Sovereignty is not in a conventional sense. It's a kind of a cluster word for autonomy, liberty, agency, freedom, agency. Yes. And then being. Yeah. So integrity sphere is the side to the model that talks about the qualities that hold the system together. When it comes to disintegration, is basically there where we talk about the qualities, the 4 major qualities that they lead to deterioration or degrade
Things
of the system.
Down.
Yeah, breaking down, as the name suggests. Yeah. And then we have the modulation sphere, which is the regulatory one. So if we want to depict the picture so that it's a bit more clear and practical, if you pay attention to the cover page, so we have this limnescate slide, like this infinity symbol. Now, let's say the left one is the disintegration, and then the right one is integrity, something like that. Now, if you see this as a more like as a rope which is twisted, if you loosen it up, the third hole is going to be created, the third sphere. And that what I use this analogy to explain what modulation is. So the idea is like there are certain qualities in each of these spheres, and if you have a healthy relationship with them, then we can that health of relationship with all of these qualities, 16 qualities, are going to be reflected in the system that we design or build or participate in. Now, so the idea is behind like in disintegration sphere is, so we talk about 4 qualities. So let's unpack this. I think that this is going to help. And I would like the people that are listening to us contextualize it, like seeing it in the context of the systems they are dealing with. This system can be their family, can be their own mental health, it can be like their teams and organization, business. And they can also look into like the economical system or the political system they are part of. So there are shadows. So shadows, shadow is the first of the 4 qualities in the disintegration quadrant, or the disintegration sphere.
Yeah.
So we have shadows. Shadows are the distortions, the troubled side to us. Any misconception, any misunderstanding, any part that we are not genuinely aware of, we neglect, we ignore.
So where my issues are getting in the way.
Yes. Or, for example, the things that we actually are aware of, but somehow we put our head in the sand, or we avert our gaze away from. Or the things that we may even know, but we deliberately resist the acknowledge.
It's working for me in some way, and I'm not changing that.
I'm not changing that, yeah? So any of these shadows, these distortions, if they're not being addressed, soon they're going to reflect, they're going to project themselves into reality as miseries. So misery is the second quality that we talk about. Again, not in a very conventional way we use it. It's a cluster word for a spectrum of difficulties in life, from trivial discomfort all the way to difficulties, hardships, adversities, catastrophes,
so
and
the things
crisis
that aren't working in my life, and probably my fault that I'm creating it. Because I'm not doing what I need to do.
Exactly. So if we don't address the shadows, then they're going to soon lead to miseries, external conditions. Now, those the conditions we're talking about are going to then be experienced by us human beings, sentient beings. We experience them as suffering. So suffering is not the pain or the misery or the condition, but it's how we experience.
It's my response to it, and I'm not happy about
it can
that.
Be very, very subjective.
Yes.
So different people would respond to different misery, I would say, very, very differently.
Sure.
Yeah. So now here's the thing. So suffering is the third one. Now, if the shadows are not being addressed, if that condition, the misery is created, if the misery reinforces itself, and if the experience of suffering gets self-sustaining, then you're going to be pushed into the 4th quality that we talk about, which I refer to as entrenchment. So entrenchment is like where you're entrapped, like you see no way out.
Yes, I'm really stuck at this point,
you're
and I
really
don't have a way
stuck,
forward.
Or you're at the verge of breaking down.
Yes.
Yeah. It's something that we all should be able to resonate with. As I said, like the term may be technical because like it's in the book, but it's something that's a reflection of what happens there with systems, or with people behind the systems as well.
So how do we get out of that? How do we, when we're in that? Because I remember I made a very big financial mess once, and I was so stuck in it, so entrenched. And it wasn't until, I got challenged by my coach and I got help. And I really put some structures in place and had to work over time to fix that situation. But at that moment in time, I was very entrenched. And I wasn't going to fix it on my own.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the solution that you're offering
so,
with the book?
So is the thing, like when we get to that entrenchment, it's like we are at the verge of breaking down. At any time, if it continues, the system may collapse. Now, before I address your question, I want to say this, that No, I mean, when we talk about disintegration, I don't want to give it this kind of negative connotation. We're not saying disintegration is bad and integrity is good. No, sometimes we actually need to let certain systems that, like, through iterations, they cannot regenerate themselves, they cannot reform.
So it's part of the process
Yeah,
of
I mean,
moving forward.
disintegration is like sometimes we need that to for a certain system to collapse so that they can open a space, open room for renewal.
Yep.
So and you know, like, disintegration can be seen more as information, so that, like, it's like telling us something. Now we can go and then try to address on the shadows, the misery, the external condition, or regulate the way that we may experience suffering, and we change things. But sometimes no, you know, like, you can not do anything about it, and then you let the system to collapse so that then we can have renewal.
Yeah.
Now, so this can, for example, in a family situation, or like in a marriage, in certain rare cases, I mean, or exceptional cases, when none of these modulations, like, you cannot transform the state of the whole system, then it leads to divorce. And that can actually be a starting point for renewal. The same thing goes, like, with the different businesses, like certain systems collapse and they open room for others. Like in a capitalist kind of economy, you would have, like, the companies, the corporations, that they are not able to produce something that voluntarily people out there, enough number of people want to vote them in or want. They need to go out. They should not be bailed out. Yeah, so they need to be out, so that they can leave room for the
For something that actually works.
yeah, and the same thing goes, like, with political, like, parties. Let's say in a democratic setting, if a party is not operating well, is not performing well, and then the public would decide for that party to go away. And in an ideal case,
So it's feedback.
it's feedback, and then, you know, and in non-democratic settings, so it may lead to revolutions or the whole change of the whole system, and these are, like, the consequences of. Now, going back to your question, like, the very first thing is, with vulnerability, to actually acknowledge and observe and see these symptoms. So one of the key part of this book is the encouragement. So basically, that's where I've leveraged the meta content discourse in the meta content book, where we talk about meta awareness here in this book, and one of the 4 in the architectonic sphere. Basically, it's talking about how aware you are of your awareness. Yeah.
Yep.
So, how do you know? How do you come to know something? How do you understand what goes on in you, like, when you don't understand something or you don't know something?
Yeah, do I stick my head in the sand, or do I go and do the research, or do I ask for insights?
Exactly.
Yes, how do I respond to that?
So that's extremely important. Like, the key, one of the key point in this book is, we want to see, especially as leaders, we want to see the cracks before they lead to collapse.
Absolutely. And that was how do we see them and then respond to them in a way that is effective?
So here's the thing. See, you know, everyone feels the result of lack of sustainability. Yeah. So, for example, like, people that they don't even know much about economics, at the end of the day, like, when inflation is high, they may not be able to articulate, like, what's going on here, but
we're all dealing with the cost of living.
Yeah, like, they go buy groceries, and, you know, I mean, you're going to experience it. It's going to impact your purchase power, your decisions, and, you know, like, mental health, etc., etc. So you're going to
absolutely,
but that's already too late, you know. So here's the thing, like, what we want to happen here, like, through this articulation, we want to be able to look into a system from a sustainability perspective, and we want to look in ourselves the people involved in those systems, because the systems are not completely separate to us human beings. So we are the one who demand these systems. We are the ones who design them, implement them, build them.
We're part of them.
Yeah, and we are the one who can reform them if the need arises. Yeah, we can't bring, because often I'm being asked, like, how come you by train, you're a system designer, how come you keep talking about integrity of individuals all the time? Well, because simply the antidote to this disintegration and the dysfunction and lack of sustainability we see is first and foremost it lays upon the integrity of individuals. So as I said, like, it's us human being who design them, implement them, and then even criticize them, reform them, etc., etc. We cannot bring other aliens like from the Mars to create better system for us. You can only create as good of a system as you are. Yeah. So that's exactly why we're bringing the attention to, okay, so let's see through these models and the tools and everything that we have provided here. So look into your system. See how you are dealing with that. Do your diagnosis. Gauge your relationship with, or the system's relationship with, all of these qualities that we talk about here. So there's also the ontometric assessment tool, like the sustainability profile.net. So it's similar to the being profile. We have the sustainability profile, which they go through a good number of questions, and then we measure the health of the relationship with each of these 16 distinctions that in the ontology.
So, you know, you are a systems designer, your background is in tech, and so you bring that type of thinking to this work. For a business or an organisation to dive into this work, you know, if they do the sustainability profile, what will that tell them about what's going on under the hood in their organisation?
Yeah, so let's say, I'll give you examples, you know. Adaptability, yeah. So it's one of the qualities.
One of 16, right?
One of the 16 qualities. Extremely important. Yeah, so we want to actually look into, like, how we people inside these systems, we're relating to these different qualities. We assess the health of our relationship, and then from that, then we can basically create a blueprint. Yeah, so we'll call it the authentic sustainability blueprint. We go, okay, so where from here?
And it provides insight into
exactly
the under the, because I mean, often when organisations or people have a problem, they'll throw a tool at it, they'll throw a new software at it, or, you know, like, what do we add? What layer can we add on top of what's there to make it work better? But you're saying we actually have to go deeper.
Oh, of course. See, you know, like, I'm coming from as you know, like, deep technological background, and that actually helped a lot, because, see, very quickly, in technology, let's say software development, for example, very quickly you learn that bad architecture is going to, you know, surface certain failures.
You can't integrate new systems easily. It doesn't connect. Yes.
Yeah. So if you have a bad architecture, it's going to surface up. I mean, it's going to show very soon. If you have misaligned components, they're going to lead to, and they're going to create compounding failures. So you can't just, and you also learn that you cannot just patch away, you know, on things out of things. Like, you cannot just, like, try to create these patches and then putting it together. No, you need to go and then look into your infrastructure. You need to look into your architecture. You need to go from bottom up and fix things fundamentally. Otherwise, you're going to be end up with a very, very fragile system that continuously is going to have bugs and dysfunctions and all that. So, what was the question? Like, you just said that.
Well, it's like, often businesses will add a layer.
Yeah.
We go, let's fix it up here, but you're advocating we need to go deeper.
Yeah, because so you can't fix people fixing people. Yeah. by tools like
People don't like
just like
being
throwing.
fixed.
No, I mean you can't you know if the people involved they don't value adaptability, they don't value patience and tolerance, and if there's distorted intentions, you can't just fix that by using a new piece of technology, or you know what I mean, or just introducing new processes and then force people to do it. We see that now because like you're talking in the context of technology, like most of ERP, enterprise resource planning systems, fail not because of technology, not because of like those technologies not configurable and it's a human issue, it's a human behavior issues,
the change management.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like you can't fix all of these things by just like introducing like tools and then putting many organizations. There's lots of case studies. They throw millions of dollars on, like ERP systems, and then people don't just use them. You can't force people to use.
No, you have to engage them.
Yes.
So for an organisation that feels like there are issues in their workplace, what's the first conversation they need to have that most people don't have?
Actually, like you assume that what's the first, you said that they should have a conversation and what the conversation is. I would like to go one step before. They need to have a conversation.
Yes, because most people just avoid looking at it, or it'll fix itself. Yes.
So no matter what conversation, first of all, they need to have conversation. You need to bring it up, because it's a common pattern that we just don't do it. Like it's sometimes because we feel humiliated, or we don't want to we don't want to blame, or we don't just want to acknowledge that something is not working again. But it's going to surface up. I mean, it's going to come up and it's going to show itself. That's what I said. The moment that we see these symptoms, the cracks, we want to go and address it. Otherwise, it's going to lead to collapse.
Because the longer we leave it, the bigger the cost is in actually addressing the issues. We know that.
Yes, of course, it's like that.
Yeah.
So, but what conversation? Again, I would go to the intention conversation. I think, so many organizations deal with presentism. Like, for example, people coming, show up, but not actually doing work. And things like that, and then they want to put people on performance reviews and all of that, and it happened a lot, like first-hand experience. For example, we had like interns joining our company organization, and I'll give you one example. There was this particular person is showing up as an intern, seems motivated and everything, and he studied IT, because IT pays well, and then he wanted to pursue project management, and then we gave him opportunities and everything. He's not getting there, and there was this conversation I had personally with him. I said, why did you study IT? And I said, I said, no, just give me the honest answer. Why did you study IT? Oh, because everyone was saying that like that's how you can land a job and everything. Is a high paid job. Go, okay, put that aside. If that was not a concern, what was the thing that you would be doing? And then he goes, I started talking about photography and taking videos and editing videos, and I could see the spark in his eyes. And the moment that we realized that, so my job as a leader was to actually place him in the right role.
He could actually.
And actually that worked out very well. Not only that, for years, he's been working with us. And
now I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So and now he has his own business.
Yeah, and he's doing great.
He's doing great.
Because you tapped into his intrinsic motivation.
Yes.
And the thing that he had strong intentions for and was interested in.
So now imagine that, like, if you have a good number of people in your team, in your organization, that they're occupying a role as a job, like as a work. It's not, they're not building their career. They just want some work to pay the bills.
Which is not sustainable if that's all you're doing it for.
Well, it's not. I
When
mean,
push comes to shove.
yeah,
it's-
especially like if you're talking about core teams, like the teams that they
Yes.
need to be creative, they need to take responsibility, they need to actually forge something so that then you can
and
go.
motivate others. If they're not motivated, how do they do
Yeah,
that?
yeah. So there are certain
Yeah.
jobs. I mean, in a more transactional ways, perhaps is possible, but when you're having people in your leadership positions, or when you have people in creative positions, the things that has to do with the strategy and with your product development, and you want them to be, what's the word? Like,
Passionate, engaged.
you're passionate, engaged, and
Yeah.
care about that
Yeah.
that industry, that problem, and so it goes back to again like intention. Like, this is like more like on the individual side, but also like how clear you are, how elaborate you are on the meaning, the vision, the intention that the whole organization has. And that level of clarity is, I mean, very small number of organizations. When you look, I looked into it. Like, I think they have very clear intention, and they broadcast it and communicate it well.
And so
Yeah.
everybody in the organisation actually knows where we're going and how my work contributes to that.
Yeah,
and can feel
exactly,
part of it.
exactly. So
Yes.
so it's like, I understand the organization, understand what the organization, this brand stands for. I can see the alignment. I know my place as well.
So
So
important.
it's the intention development, both like where we talk about the fulfillment pyramid in the book. There's 3 dimensions of this. There's a pyramid with 3 dimensions. One of which, it's called the developmental dimension, which basically goes through developing like your intention, anchoring it in a deep-rooted meaning, and then the actions, the tasks,
Because it can't stay in my head, it's got to come out into the
yeah,
world.
are linked to that.
Yeah.
So the tasks are not like particles floating in the orbit; they are actually rooted in something meaningful. So both on the organizational side and as well as like the people that are working with that organization. Then when this happens, then it's not just the organization's game; it's my game.
Yeah, it's personal.
It's my game. And there you see that lots of problems on the surface immediately is going to disappear.
Because I'm focused now on what matters.
Because like if that person is motivated and then they're clear with their intention why they're in this organization, something way beyond like these false incentives. I don't work. I'm enjoying the things and you can see this. You can see this immediately when you work with different teams.
Yeah.
You see the individuals that they are clear with what they want out of this.
And you don't get politics and you don't get gossiping and things and hidden agendas when the vision is clear and people are connected to it.
I mean, still it may happen, but then
Yeah.
again, like those are like different things that
To
we
a
talk about.
different degree,
Yeah, so we to a different degree, and then because we often, with the moment that we talk about sustainability in systems or organizations, we often talk about poor communication. We talk about office politics. But these are outcomes. The burnout. These are outcomes.
Yeah.
What we go through in this book, and we don't only talk about organization, because like you're talking about organization, I'm more like using those examples. But so in the book, we actually talk about like individuals all the way to like larger systems, like economy or political systems. So, so those are outcomes. But what we want to look into, and when I say look inward, is looking into these qualities we just talked about. So when, for example, miseries happen, how the team is going to respond. Are they going to be reactive? Have they been proactive, or they are ready to, with a level of stability, they're going to respond to the matters that it comes their way. Or, for example, like we talked about patience. Sometimes teams and leaders are too patient.
Take too long to respond.
Oh yeah, like they're too patient. Like, or for example, they may accept misbehaviors, may accept like
Yes.
things with from clients or certain team members too much. Yeah.
And that's often because they're not willing to have the conversation or lean in.
Yes, and
challenge.
that's exactly where it then gets linked. I mean, it links to the being framework. As we said, being is one of the 4 qualities in the integrity sphere here. And for those people who are familiar with the being framework, there we talk about 31 qualities that are quite fundamental when
to
it
leadership,
comes to
right, and effectiveness.
and performance and leadership. So there, yes, like you want to actually then dive in. So the way that it works with from a tool perspective, because as part of this book and framework, as we said, we have the sustainability profile. So in sustainability profile, we have 16 qualities, 4 spheres, 4 qualities under each. And there is an extra, which is called vulnerability index. It's a separate conversation, but basically that evaluates how vulnerable and open the person was while answering the questions.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Am I trying to impress, or am I willing to actually be with the questions?
Exactly.
Yes.
So we have 16 major qualities there. And then one of these qualities in integrity sphere is being. Now, then you can zoom in and the breakdown of that being, and then you can do your being profile, and then you can see how you relate to all of those 31 different qualities.
Yeah. Talking about the being profile, because and also I guess the book in general, you use the term integrity in a way that's a bit different from how we use it in common speaking. Would you unpack that for me, and why it's so important for individual integrity and how that flows into the larger systems?
Yeah. So first of all, like, I mean, yes, I understand, like, we often use integrity in day-to-day language when we're talking about someone's moral standards,
the moral
and
compass,
things,
or walking their talk. Or,
exactly. But with the second definition for integrity in Oxford Dictionary, if you actually look at it, is like we're talking about the perfect sound, in being in a perfect sound condition, unbroken. So basically all the bits and pieces of a system being in their rightful place, leading to effectiveness. Yeah. So if you take a mechanical watch, like all the cogs in the machine is there, and if they are placed correctly, then it's going to bring that workability. Yeah. So therefore, when we talk about integrity from a being perspective, like we're talking about a big part of your cognitive map, and then the way that you actualize or embed them in your in yourself. So let's say the way that you relate to commitment, the way that you relate to authenticity, courage, and various different qualities. So when we say integrity from a being perspective, we're talking about how your relationship with all of these different constituent parts are.
So that I have a healthy relationship with courage, with authenticity, with vulnerability.
So each of these qualities, they have the ontological distinction. Now, we're not making anyone wrong if someone says, "Oh, responsibility to me is this." We're saying, no, we're not making you wrong. This is not the only definition of that. It's not even a definition, it's a distinction. We're saying that in this model that we want to
measures.
Yeah, we want you to bring your attention to this quality. Now we call it responsibility. Yeah. So this is what gets measured, and this quality is what we found to be important through the work that we've done. Now
makes sense.
Yeah. Now, so that when we talk about integrity of being, therefore, we're talking about the average relationship that you have with all of these different qualities that we. Now, when it comes to this book, then we zoom out. We talk about systemic integrity.
Okay.
Basically, we're generalizing that conversation. We go see in any system, a system is something that it has elements, various different elements, working together, having interactions with each other,
and that going well
with a certain pattern towards certain outcome and intention. So they basically, anything that matches this in this most expansive way that we can put it, then I call it the system. Yeah.
Okay.
So the system is not just a technological system.
No, it could
or
be a team of people
can
doing
be.
a function, or
Yeah.
yes.
Now, this is not, for example, when we say human being is system, I'm not downgrading human being to merely a system. No, we have the irrational part to us. We have the emotions and everything. But in some part, we are systems too. Yeah. So, when we talk about systemic integrity, then it generalizes the whole conversation. We go, any system consists of various different constituent
Moving
parts or
parts,
element,
yeah.
moving parts. And now, if, for example, you see, like you look into a business, then it has different subsystems going on for it. You have your commercialization, you have this sell system, you have like the lead generation system, you have your operations, etc., etc. And so, if all of these different systems are working in an optimal level, then you would expect the outcome that you want.
Systemic integrity.
Now, here, then specifically, we're talking about in order for any system out there to be sustainable, we, the system designer, we people who participate in, or build this system, we need to be relating to these various different qualities important from a sustainability perspective in a healthy way, because the system is the reflection of how we are being.
Yep, and the people in it. And so if it starts to break down, if there is disintegration, then how do we modulate?
Oh, that's a good one now.
Wow,
so basically,
you've got this whole modulation sphere. So how does that work?
So this is where we contextualize this whole conversation in leadership in part of this book, because a big part, so obviously the leader is going to support, or the leadership team is going to support in gaining clarity around the intention, as we said, generating trust, all of those things we said. Cultivating a culture in which sovereignty is respected. It's not like people are continuously forced to do this and that. If a person is doing something, they can own it. They can go, this is me.
To have some autonomy in that. Yes. I like a bit of autonomy, so I can relate to that.
Yeah. So, So, and then when it comes to like disintegration,
and modulation.
Sphere, now, when it comes to modulation, that's perhaps the most important part of the role of a leader. Because, so you said that intentions, you communicate them and everything, and then or for example, like you have a base level of trust, but it's not linear. It's not, when we talk about integrity, we're talking about, or sustainability, we talk about mastery, we talk about authenticity. These are asymptotic ideals. Horizontal values. These are like the qualities not to be attained. So you can't be perfect in an absolute sense.
You're never going to arrive.
No,
you're
never going to be arrived there.
Because the world's going to pull the rug out from under you at some point.
So basically, it's not like so I go towards integrity and I get there. I got there last night, and I'm going to reside there comfortably.
No.
Like, it's not going to be like that.
Because then COVID happens, and suddenly it's like, I've got to adapt.
Exactly. So the whole idea behind this symbol, which is like on the cover page, and all the UOSI, is perhaps we were actually talking about too late. We should have started talking about it early in the conversation, but that's good. So that's a kind of reward for the people that are patient. So the idea is like, it's not a linear journey. You're going to be continuously in transition, or the state of the system is going to be continuously.
So that infinity symbol just keeps moving.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you go towards integrity and disintegration and everything.
And then there's a challenge, so you go back.
Exactly. So that's the, and I talk about this thing in the book. I had to create a word for it. I call it destabilis. Destabilis is basically whatever stimuli that comes in and it shatters or attempt to shatter your integrity, the integrity of the system. It's the matters that life brings to us in order for it comes to destabilizes.
It's what we call a curveball. Comes out of nowhere, didn't
Out of
expect
nowhere,
it, not
yes.
ready for it, and
Yeah.
suddenly I've got to respond.
Yes.
What am I gonna do?
COVID kicks in,
Yeah.
like natural disasters, health issues happen. Because see, sometimes when we talk about leadership, we talk about organization, we talk
Yeah,
about
we lose a key
entrepreneurship.
team member, or
Exactly. We talk, in a most technical way, we talk about it. Okay, so you do this and then you do that, and then here's the model or the framework. But,
life's not that predictable.
Yeah, so all of that business building, all of that leadership, it's happening in a context. So it's not in a vacuum. It's not isolated. It's not like you can just focus on those technical things. It's going to be built. So therefore, you want to take those destabilizers, or the things that come to destabilize the integrity of the system, the condition of the system, to take them quite seriously and be ready to respond. Now, so therefore, we say that it's not linear. You are continuously transiting, or the system is continuously in transition.
Yep.
Now, transition is the word that I use in the book when going from this state to another state for the system is unconscious.
So the transitions are unconscious?
Yes, like we're not
Doesn't it
fully
require?
conscious.
What about intention though?
Oh wait. So
Okay.
what I'm saying is
There's
the
more.
state of a system is continuously changing.
Sure.
Now, whether we pay attention to it or not, it's a separate conversation. So that's the part of that when we were talking about meta awareness, when you said that where to start, like to start actually identifying these patterns, identifying that some certain symptoms are that some cracks are happening. So before they lead to a collapse, then we want to address them. So any system is continuously in transition from this state to another state.
Got it.
It's not linear. Now, so what should we do then? Yeah, so you created your intention, you communicated, you bring people, but then things are going to shift. Like the state of a team is going to, the mood of a team is going to go up and down. The market is going to be, so there's a continuously.
That's why we need good leaders, right?
Well, yeah, but then what the good leader is going to do? Not thinking of the transitions as linear. One of the things that we can do. And that's exactly where modulation comes to play. So modulation is when you become conscious, or you make that unconscious conscious. You become aware of these transitions. You go, oh, this is what is happening. And you may not like it. But the moment that you realize that, then the moment that you make that unconscious conscious, you can start modulating. Now, modulation is different, or regulation. Modulation is different to that raw transition, because then you get involved and you try to influence that.
Because the role transition is unconscious, but the modulation is
so transition
intentional.
is just happening.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, but then modulation is when you recognize that, and then you
yeah.
choose to. Now you may not be able to influence it more than 50%, or sometimes even 2%. It doesn't matter. You do your best as a leader. You hold the tiniest thread that you can, the string that you can hold on to, and you pull that, and then you steer the direction. You try to influence whatever outcome is going to be there, and that brings our attention to the 4 key qualities in the modulation sphere. So the idea is, like, when these transitions are happening, you as a leader modulate as much as possible, and ideally, like, you're going to basically go towards building a system that in some good ways, to some good degree, is going to be self-regulating or self-sustaining. Yeah. Now we always, we can't have like completely self-sustaining systems with man-made systems.
Yeah,
like with
some
man-made
intervention is going to be required.
systems. Yeah, but the idea is to minimize that. Yeah, not that. It's because, see, the whole idea, like, behind this whole book, in the beginning, is like, if you need to be influencing these systems continuously with artificial, manufactured, manual intervention,
Checklists,
and you need to
quotas.
continuously maintain it, then it's not sustainable.
No.
Because that's, you know, that's the whole idea. Like if, for example, you look into the modern economics, then you see that, you know, like we need to keep, like through the Reserve Bank, we need to increase the tax interest rate, decrease it, print of more money, fiat currency, fiat money, currency, putting in the. I mean, there's so many things of that kind we need to do to keep it going, and we need to pause and we need to actually look back. And I don't want to enter that conversation because that's a big one.
That's a big one.
But there are economists. They talk about that. They don't even believe that we need to have Reserve Bank.
Right.
And I don't think that that's the best idea. But anyway, so putting that aside,
It's a conversation for the future, I think.
yes, so that's the next book I'm working.
I know.
So, but here's the thing. We want to minimize this manual artificial interventions, and a good system is a system that it requires the least amount of maintenance. It's more reliable. It's more sustainable. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, can we reach there in an absolute sense? Perhaps not. Yeah. But yeah, and that's an irony, and that's why I actually use the word sustainabilists. The ones that they believe that, or you just like demand it, or you may order it, or you may command it. Sorry.
Would you call that performative?
Yes. Yeah, and it's scripted. It's like, oh, it needs to be this way. Okay, then be. I mean, but it's not going to be like that. Or by 2030, we need to hit this. I mean, did we? Are we? You know,
we're not on track.
We have like the United Nations, like SDGs. It has actually a cult following now. I mean, it gets crazy. Not that some of the things that are there is genuine, and you know we need to go towards, but like the way that it's very visual. It's very visual. It's not realistic to get there. The way that you know we go.
So those approaches aren't sustainable.
Yeah, many organizations are involved, like in government institutions and academia and everything. And I mean, yeah, it's fine that they keep talking about it, and but
there's
you know, like when you go, when you go to the conference, they're sitting there talking about carbon footprint, and you know, more than half of the people there, these leaders, are going on their private jets and talking about carbon footprint.
You got to wonder about that.
Yeah, you're going to wonder about it. I mean, so that's why. Yeah. So basically, and then we have we have the 2030 document, United Nations. We have on the other side, like we have the mandate for leadership, 2025 document. The conservative promise in the United States. I mean, so you have good number of like these kind of things going on, and let's not even judge their intentions or like their political party or the doctrine or whatever. Putting that aside, the way that you want to go about it and make it happen, it's not how things work. That's basically what we're talking about. It's literally a very good manifestation of that would be the difference between the modern agriculture and the regenerative agriculture.
Yes.
Because we value efficiency. Yeah, let's go get this 5 hectare.
But then we rape the soil and
like just get this 5 hectare land and only produce like plant avocados. The ecosystem, like the nature, doesn't operate like that. And then we need to bring more manual artificial interventions. Yes. Then we need to use pesticides, and we need to basically, do all of this harm in order for us to build something in the way we want it. That's a radical humanism. So this very comparison, like between the modern agriculture and the regenerative. Yes. It's a very good manifestation of what I'm talking about here in a more general sense. We're saying all systems, like when you bring authenticity, you go instead of how I want it to be, how it is. And then, yes, I can modulate and I can, play a role. Like, we are not the generator of the winds.
Mm. I mean,
We can build the boat, the sailing boat, and we can steer the wheels, and we can basically
and
surf
capture the wind. if it's
we can surf the waves. But
Yep.
you're not like causing the wind. You're not just generator of the wind. You're not. So and that's a kind of a modern
Mm.
arrogance that we have, and we think that everything should go our way.
Yeah, I mean, what comes up for me is an interesting one. When you talk about nature and what's regenerative, and as human beings, we know that if we kill the bees, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, because nature will not regenerate
Well,
without
actually,
the bees.
like you say it, and very interesting that you're saying that. I live in the Hunter region in
Yes.
New South Wales, Australia, and for some time, like, it was officially like the council in that area, they were continuously like killing bees because they have this parasite, whatever it's going on, and at the end,
But you
after
can't
killing
kill
so
the
many
bees.
bees, because see, it's not like just the bees; it's going to have a tremendous amount of impact on like
Well, it's the whole ecosystem.
the whole ecosystem.
The bees are just a critical part, but they actually
Yeah.
simulate how many other pieces
Yes.
that are also critical.
Yeah, so these are all
Yes.
examples of that. Now
Yeah.
imagine that if you bring this, so when it comes to nature, at least like there's some reference point, like we can actually look into that, because those systems are beyond us, like the like
Yes.
firstly reality systems that we can basically surrender.
And we can benefit from
And
them.
you
but
benefit from
we
it, but
can't
you need to
control them.
surrender. Like they're being dictated to us. Yes, we can influence it, and that's one of the biggest concerns that when people talk about like the conventional conversation about sustainability when it comes to environment comes in, which is in big part valid, that yes, of course we have an impact. How big of an impact, that's a separate conversation. Second is like sometimes they talk as if like we're not part of the nature.
We are.
So for example, like the water dragon and the herons and the bird, they can eat the ducks, but not us human beings, as if like we're not apex predator ourselves.
We are.
So here's the thing, like we are also part of the thing, but then uniquely we can cause tremendous amount of damage. Let's say with nuclear weapon that we have ended up creating, which is
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not there.
So basically then if you apply the same thing when it comes to any other systems that we build, whether it's software, as a train station system, transportation system, whether like any system that you create, if you actually adopt this mental framework around it, that there are various different constituent parts and you're part of it. You cannot have it go exactly the way that you want. There are various different entities in an autonomous way, and they operate, and they have certain behavior. Yeah, some are predictable and some are not predictable. So and then you learn how to surf the wave, and you go through iterations. You try to influence the parts that you can. Yeah, when it comes to, for example, your organization, there's so many things you can do,
Absolutely.
and there's certain things you can't do. You cannot force people, for example, to behave in a particular way. You're dealing with human beings.
Can't control people.
And they are part of the system. They are the designers of the system.
And the users at the other end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming back, because you're talking about tech, and it's a good one. One of the, I guess, unique aspects of the tech industry is the rate at which it's moving and the rate of which it's increasing, the dynamic nature of development, change, AI.
Yeah.
So how does this apply, when the pace is rapidly increasing? What are the implications for applying a model like this in that environment?
So this is actually a very, very good example because, of course, like we're going through this massive change. Like, there's a lot of conversations about it. Like we don't need to recreate it again here.
Sure.
But let's actually look into it from this perspective. I need to create a little bit of context here.
Okay.
There was a time, because lots of people are quite concerned that, AI is coming and,
It's going to kill us all.
and then there's some that go, oh no, like this was the same with any other technology. There are others that go, no, actually this technology is way different. Like
Needs
it can actually,
guardrails or
it can actually can make decisions like
Mm.
us. But at the end of the day, I think there was a time that the value of us human beings from an economical perspective was our labor,
Mm.
and then
Then it
the
became ideas or
the industrial revolution happens, and then so we gradually outsource those heavy lifting
mm.
jobs to forklifts and
Machines.
machinery, all that. And then yes, it could freak us out, go, oh, we're losing our value. But no, actually what it did, it brought our attention to another dimension of our consciousness. So yes, we're not that valuable anymore with our labor and muscle mass and all that. But then it brings our attention to this other dimension of our consciousness, which is our intellect, our computation power, our intellect, and things like that.
Mm.
And that led to massive social changes, like, for example, women being more, because when it was a time that they needed the upper body power to lift things, then obviously like
That
women could be
men are stronger, yes.
in general.
Typically.
But then, so we're bringing attention to our intellect. But then now that is being challenged because then
AI's
your
got that.
cognitive abilities, so your computation is like the AI's computation is going to be way, I mean, it is superior. Now, again, certain people are freaking out, go, oh, like we're losing our jobs and what to do.
And our value.
I think that this may land radical. I mean, I think that this is yet another opportunity for us to pay attention to yet more important dimension of our consciousness, which is meaning. And that's why I talk about meaning here. And, we're talking about meaning-driven, purpose-driven economy as we go. So that's basically what I'm working on the next book. Contextualizing the sustainability discourse in economies, basically looking into it, like what kind of economy, what kind of platform we need, bedrock we need for the next wave of economy, because I think that's going to be the big one. So it's bringing our attention to meaning. So the next generations that we're seeing, they're not lifers in a way. So they're not like just sitting there for like 30 something years, like sitting in the same role, be happy with it, or you can't easily buy them. And this is what lots of organizations are dealing like with Gen Z, and they think that they're lazy, they're not more. It's not like that. It's like a completely different paradigm, completely different meta content, as I call it.
They want different things than
like
my generation.
They're not dealing with that shortage crisis in a way, in most part at least, like in most of the things that they may need. Of course, we have housing problem and things like that, but you can't simply buy them with money.
No.
So that's why purpose-driven economy is being shaped, or it needs to shape. That's why leadership has a completely different meaning now. You need to be able to create intentions, meaning, as we talked about it a couple of times, so that you inspire and you invite this generation to actually want to work with you. So you can't just like, okay, so I just invest, and you can't shape really good core teams just having money or capital. These are the fundamental things that are being challenged now. And that's exactly why you see that there are certain much smaller teams are outperforming like massive corporation, which is a very good sign to me. You see the power of a small coherent team that are actually sustainable. They are more entrepreneurial, they're more creative. We have really good examples of that during COVID. For example, Zoom was like, I mean,
absolutely went crazy.
So while there were all of these giant like corporates that they could compete, like they could easily compete, but they didn't have that agility. They didn't have the coherence in the team. So,
So it's going to be interesting times. And I know this is one in a series of books, and we've already kind of pointed to a couple that are coming down the line. So Thinking about sustainabilism, the book, what's the one or two key things that you want people to get or to take away from this conversation?
Yeah. Um, so the spark was the frustration that we keep talking about sustainability, but it's more like a buzzword, the compliance release than the surface level. And despite all these conversations, still like we deal with tremendous amount of dysfunction, lack of sustainability in various different systems that we have. The key point I would like to, emphasize is all of these systems. The systems that we have created, us human beings, we've created them, and we only could create as good of a system as good we are. Good.
Effective.
Effective. Yeah.
Yes.
So, if we want better systems, we need better designers. We need better implementers of those systems, and we need a bit more of a participative leadership. Like your silence, your inactivity, your indifference is going to have an impact on this overall thing. That at some point it comes at your door, like when you're silent about some of the injustices or lack of functionality, it's going to be normalized. So basically it's an invitation for everyone, no matter, like, see, this is not just for system designers or this is for, if you live, if you breathe, if you work, if you exist, it's an inherent responsibility, and you so want it down deep there, whether you came to that realization or not. Like, if you are in a relationship, you want the relationship to last, you want the relationship to endure, you want your mental health to actually be good, optimal, so that you can perform and keep going, you want your
and
business
enjoy life.
exactly. Yeah. So it should be relevant to everyone. Yeah. Now I know that like many may not like take over 1,000 pages of book and go, okay, so let me now see how I can make things sustainable. Well, maybe that is why you are stuck in many different areas. Yeah, I know that you want to build that lead generation system that you so want for your little business, and you may think that, oh, like, I just get someone to do it, or those who've been through, practically they've been through trying to solve some of these problems that are stuck in the businesses, they eventually get there, like that, no, actually I need to go and then address like some more fundamental things. So the conversation here is like, it is our responsibility as human beings, no matter what you're doing, what we're doing, to care about sustainability of the systems that we create. Because we put so much attention, focus on my right, like we are entitled, but then your right can be someone else's responsibility. So it's an invitation to actually take responsibility, no matter how big of or a small system you deal with. If you're a policymaker, if you're a politician, if you are an executive of a corporation, you're going to have much more impact with this type of decisions that you're going to make, the votes you're going to give to certain systems being created, the investment that goes here or there. But if you are the least senior employee in an organization, or just whoever you are having an impact. Like often I said it in the Being book, I say, even a leaf falling from the tree in autumn has an impact on the whole ecosystem. Why not you? So we do have an impact. So basically my invitation is to actually look inward, see where you can take responsibility to participate in development of sustainability around any of the systems that you are part of, because that's the only way we can actually have that covered. It's not like, okay, you the politicians, you the political leaders, you the academics,
so
you go and then do it. That is not going to happen. This is an invitation to basically bring that participative leadership on, going, no, we all play a role in this, no matter what we're doing in life, and know that the systems are not so stuck. I know that that's a kind of a feeling that we have. This is the systems are not see. So these systems are not working. No, we don't have that absolute not working or absolute working. It's not like that. As we said, we are continuously in transition.
Yeah.
Where do you want to modulate? Yeah.
Where can I have an impact, and
Yeah,
what's the
yeah,
opportunity for me to actually be responsible and have that impact?
Yeah, most places in the world they have good enough system going on.
Yeah.
It's just those system needs to be reformed, needs to become better. Sometimes they need to collapse and then open a space for renewal. But at the end of the day, perhaps my key message is I don't want to see us in despair and
Entrenchment or suffering.
Yeah. So if these systems are to be addressed and better and improved or transformed, is us, the human being behind them, we can make them better. And you can't do that by just like commanding, creating mandates and more processes and these mechanics of it. But it actually goes. This book is about the ecology of human existence when it comes to creating sustainable. The sustainability is the outcome of all of those internal works. When we look inward and we work on them, they reflect on out there. They show themselves in the systems that we have. So that would be basically my message. Yeah.
Ultimately, I hear a message of empowerment. You can have an impact, so do. If someone wants to know more, if they want to get in touch, how do they reach you?
Yeah, you can go to my personal website, ashkantashvir.com. There's sustainabilism.net. So basically, if they searched my name on Google and the books are there, like they can click on the books, they can order it. The book is so fresh, so at the moment it's only on my personal website that they can place the order there, and we take care of it through our own publishing house. But soon it's going to be on Amazon, like the other books and other platforms, so they can acquire the book from there as well.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Ashkan. It's been a really interesting conversation, and I look forward to future conversations as the books keep coming. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Is there anything we didn't cover that you want to cover that we could insert? Yeah,
good.
How'd it go at your end, Mark?
Well.
We had fun. I enjoyed that. That was a good conversation.
You've done this before, haven't you?
He's done it a lot.
Yeah. Except for the book falling, which was an unfortunate little moment.
You can cut that out.
I'm still recording, by the way, so I don't know
Okay.
if you had your other questions.
Oh, I kind of worked them in,
Oh, you
and I
have
didn't
worked
need
them
to.
in.
I have worked them in.
Okay, fantastic.
I just we'll do the whole thing. And how long did it go for?
You are at, right now,
Like a-
total recording
felt like an
time
hour.
for 125.
Oh, shite.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long podcast.
That's fine.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
And